I'm Ashley Gibb. I run and operate Ash Loves Dogs Grooming Salon. It's a home-based groomer. I have like 8+ years of experience grooming dogs. And like I said, I specialize in doodle coats or poodles as well, and their coats. So yeah, we're located out of Rigby.
Awesome. Okay. Um, so I have some questions from some of the people in my group, but I wanted to talk really about doodle coats. It's something I hear from people all the time. I took my dog to the groomer and they just shaved him, even though I didn't want him to. Can you kind of explain the process of taking care of a doodle coat? Or I don't know if poodles do the same thing, but you kind of explain the process of doodle coats and how they're different from other breeds. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Doodles, I think there's like a huge misconception that they're gonna be easy, or they make really great family pets, like their loyalty and everything, but they're are probably one of the highest maintenance coats of a dog breed that you can have. And that's because you're mixing a double coated breed. So a dog that sheds, they have the top coat and their guard coat, and their undercoat. And so it's a completely different coat structure as opposed to a dog that, like a poodle, that has its singular coat and it's more hair, not fur. And
Okay.
so by mixing the two, you get like, there's just like a huge range of what your doodle can end up having. They can take after their poodle side more, and they're going to have that curlier hair coat. Or they can end up taking after the double coated breed and have more of a double coat with the undercoat and the guard coat. And because of that, it actually makes it even harder maintenance than either one of them separately. So you're going to have a poodle is easier to maintain coat wise compared to a doodle, because you can have such a weird mix of the fur type, fur/hair type. And that being said, they require more brushing, they require more regular grooming, they require different types of shampoos, and really specific equipment to make sure that their coat is maintained. I think, yeah, misconception brushing. There's a proper way to brush. It's called line brushing. There's some really great like YouTube videos on how to line brush if you want to do it from home. But it's recommended at least, if not daily, at least 3 or 4 times a week to maintain that poodle coat, unless you keep it, unless you like your dogs shaved like or cut close. So if you like a longer coat, it requires, yeah, daily brushing. Just like your own hair, you're going to want to brush it, otherwise it'll get tangled. If you like longer hair, if you don't brush it daily, it will get tangled. So
Can you explain why a groomer would have to like cut them so close? Because again,
yeah.
that is the biggest thing that I hear from people. They're just mad that their groomer shaved their dog, and I would love to be able to share kind of why that is, because
Yeah.
it's not that you guys are doing anything wrong. It's that you just don't really have another option. Is that correct? Once they get
Right,
to that point?
exactly. So if their coat isn't maintained in between groomings, dogs develop mats, and that's the tangles. Matting can be incredibly painful for a dog. It's usually the hair, like on the top surface, you can't really tell, but when it's like close to the skin, the hair creates these really tight knots, and it can actually cause pressure on their skin and cut off circulation in certain areas. And so when we get a dog in that is severely matted, even if you can't tell from like top surface, if you can take a comb and you can't comb through their fur, you know it's matted. And a lot of times, like me personally, I will try and save as much as I can. But the dematting process, to actually pick through all the mats and try and get them out or cut them out, can actually be really painful or discomfort for the dog. And so it just depends on their attitude. Usually, if you want your dog to be dematted, you're talking time and money. It takes a lot longer to demat a dog fully than it will to just shave a dog. And most pet parents would rather them just shave a dog and keep the same price as what you're used to, rather than upcharge by almost 2 or 3 times what
Yeah.
you would normally look at.
Okay.
And if I get a dog in, I'll, assess the coat. And then if there is severe matting, like all throughout, it takes a shave down. And then just regular grooming appointments, like 4 to 6 weeks is what I recommend for
Okay.
doodles specifically. 4 weeks is almost better. Just if you're not going to brush at home, you
Hmm.
can at least keep their hair at like a nice fluffy length without matting, by
Okay.
keeping it like every 4 weeks. If you do better at brushing at home, you can go 6 to 8 weeks, depending on how long you like their hair. But yeah,
Okay. Awesome.
yeah, we
Thank you.
don't we don't like shaving them either. Like it can be really sad, and it's um it's really is for their health, is their skin health. They can cut off circulation by those tight mats. It's painful to walk. It can be painful to even like grooming themselves, like looking and stuff. Like it can just be really painful if their hair is matted. So
Okay. So, um, kind of to move into this next topic, I had someone ask, like, what can we be practicing with our dogs to make the grooming process easier for you guys, but also their dogs? Is there something, I mean, in my puppy class, I'm teaching, a lot of handling work and some grooming, kind of helping them get used to the brush and the blow dry and things like that. But when you have a dog, especially like a high maintenance doodle that's going to be groomed for its whole life, when do you want to see them the first time? And what can the owners be doing in between other than just the brushing to make your job easier, but to make their pets' experience of the groomer better?
right. Yeah, that's a really great thing, for anybody getting a puppy. Most grooming facilities require veterinary shots in their first rabies shot, so that you're looking at least 16 weeks out from their first groom, which is not ideal. So the best thing that you can do at home is to handle their feet, touching in between their toes, picking up their paws. Paws are like the most sensitive thing that groomers like that we deal with. Is like all dogs hate their feet being touched, and most of them hate like lifting their tail to look at their bum. Those are just uncomfortable situations for most dogs. And so anything you can do, to put them in a mindset of grooming, I suggest always putting them on a table. Some people like to start with their dogs on the ground, but they just get into a completely different mindset when you put them on a table. It puts them into more of a work mode usually.
Okay.
And so it's something that they can get used to, especially once they're at a groomer. They're going to be bathed in a higher tub. They're going to be blow dried on a table, and they're going to be brushed on a table. They're going to be groomed on a table. So all of that process is on a table. So it just puts them in a different mindset.
Okay.
And so I'd say you can start with that, even just on your kitchen table, or just any table that you have, just starting with that, and then working on touching their paws in between their toes, messing with the hair, pulling on the hair a little bit, like around their feet, and then treats, lots of treats like with that. So it can be kind of a desensitization process,
Okay.
as well as working on getting them used to standing, for maybe extended periods of time, longer than they'd feel comfortable to start with. Just by having them stand, treating, you can say a command like settle or stance, or something to give them a
Mhm.
cue word for that. And then when they go to like sit their bum down, you just gently press up against their belly, and say stand up, and then treat
Okay.
again when they're standing. That can be really helpful. But if you want your puppy to get used to more of like the blow drying, the bathing, you can always give baths at home. And for doodle owners, every doodle owner, or even people with maybe like heavy coated double coats like Huskies, St. Bernards, anything that's not like short haired, like you're thinking fluffy
Mhm.
coats, even golden retrievers, just anything like Aussies, Australian Shepherds, anything that has like maybe a longer double coat and doodle coats, I'd suggest always buying a high velocity dryer. That's the
Okay.
type of dryer that they're going to use at a grooming facility. And it's just the tone of it and the sound of it. The whole experience is way different than just like a blow dryer, like
Mhm.
like a hair blow dryer.
So can
And
you
so
use
using
those?
that at home.
Oh, can you
Oh, I
use
should
those high velocity ones? At what age would you suggest starting, just even on that lowest setting for those? Is there an age limit, or is that something you could
as soon
start
as
out
you bring puppy home. Yep.
with?
Yeah, if you start as soon as you bring puppy home, if you have to give a bath or whatever, I'd start using it right away. The sooner the better, just because they get like that their windows of learning are so small, like, and you can get them socialized really easily in that 8 to 12 week period if you're bringing home a puppy that soon. So the sooner they get like introduced to it, the better it'll be for them in the long run.
So sounds of clippers. I have people get like a little electric toothbrush and kind of not with the bristles, but I have them kind of have the vibration on their face and maybe
Yeah.
some other areas. Is that something that is a good way to help kind of prepare
Yes.
them for grooming, especially that face area?
Yep. Yep. Even like just taking home scissors, just the sound of the scissors around their face, around their feet, around their bum, just areas that maybe they'd be a little bit less comfortable with to start, and using treats to help or praise to help,
Yeah, absolutely.
associate those things with good. But yeah, like a vibrating toothbrush is really good. If you have a pair of men's clippers around, or even like a shaver, just the sound of those things can really help desensitize or to help them get comfortable with the process.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. How often should a dog be bathed to maintain healthy coat and skin? Is there like, I've heard over the years so many different things, like you shouldn't bathe them all the time, or
Mm.
what is kind of the standard at this point that you advise owner or pet parents with?
This question, it's not necessarily about how often bathing, it's what product you're using.
Okay.
Um, so if you're using a high quality shampoo and conditioner, you can bathe your pet like every day. You could bathe them every day because it's just going to maintain the oils in their coat. It's going to condition and moisturize their skin. They'll keep healthy. Most products that you can find like in stores like Walmart, Petco, PetSmart, they're not intended for that much use. Like they're not intended for daily use or even weekly use sometimes, because they don't often have conditioning properties in them. So the shampoo, if you're using it every day, it's going to strip their coat of oils, and it can cause dryness in their skin. It can cause them flakiness. It can actually damage the coat, dull the coat. So it really just depends on the quality of your product. Most like quality grooming products are going to come in a concentration. The one I use, it's like 1 in 16. So I use 16 ounces of water to 1 ounce of grooming of shampoo, but I also have shampoo and conditioner separate. And I think that's something that people miss a lot, is you don't think about conditioner for your dog. But just like us, we need conditioner to keep our hair with those essential oils without being greasy. So it really just depends on just depends on the product you use, and if you're drying them after. So like a grooming from home or like bathing from home can be a real challenge for people with doodles or with like thick coated double breeds like huskies or golden retrievers or St. Bernards, just any of those are like really thick coats. If you're not drying them properly, it can actually cause worse problems for under that undercoat. It can cause yeast infections, or just without, like, if you can't get it dried fully, then it can cause some skin issues. So
Okay.
it
Oh,
just
that's
depends.
good
If
to
you
know.
have the
Yeah.
right equipment and the right product, you can bathe as often as you like usually.
Okay, awesome. So with those double coated dogs, I had someone that asked if, do you have certain precautions you need to take for dogs that overheat with those coats? I know a lot of people, I've talked to groomers and they go, we don't, people bring their double coated dogs in to be shaved because it's too hot. Is that a thing? Like, will that help, or is there a different way we can help kind of help them stay cool when it's warmer?
Yeah, the biggest thing is again brushing for those double coated dogs. You can there's certain brushes that can help take out the undercoat, but the number one thing is never to shave a double coated breed. It's like the worst thing that you can do for their skin, because the way a double coat works is it actually works to regulate their body temperature. So that's how the dog regulates its own body temperature within. So when you look at it and it's panting and it's like super hot out, you might think that it's like overheating and, oh, if we took all the hair off, like it would help. But it's actually would make it worse. They would actually get more hot if they don't have their double coat to protect them. So yeah, that's what I said. Like if your groomer ever suggests to shave like a double coated breed, like a golden retriever or a Saint Bernard or a Husky even, I would get a second opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's just so much out there that you just, it's it's hard to know.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
so here's another one. They wanted to know what's the best way to drop a dog off? So I know sometimes going to the groomer can be really stressful. Or is it better to kind of just like drop off and like leave? Or she asked, can you provide final like pats and reassurance? What makes it easier for them to transition from owner to groomer?
I'd say just like anything, kennel training or anything at home, the more confident you are handling your dog, the more confident they can end up being. And so when you drop off and there's a lot of coddling and it's going to be okay, mommy's going to be back, that just reassures the dog in their anxiety, or like, I don't know how to say that, but
Mhm.
it can make their anxiety worse rather than just walking in and being like, you can use, if you use a keyword at home when you kennel them or when you leave them, just like if you say see you later, you can just
Mhm.
say that can help them know, okay, mom's going to come back. I'm not, getting dropped off here forever. But the more confident you are and quickly handing off to the groomer and just being see you later,
Mhm.
that's best. So
That's best. Okay,
yeah.
awesome. Um, I have someone that asked about like clippers. She clips at home just because it's so hard to find a groomer these days. Like everyone is like packed and booked. So she's decided to groom at home. And she was asking about different blade lengths. Is there a reason why people would use 10 blades instead of a 30 blade? I don't know if that was
Yeah.
something you want to talk about.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure. Blades. So most groomer or most clippers that you're going to buy are going to come standard with a 10 blade. It cuts hair to a 16th of an inch. And it's really good for sanitary areas. So in between paw pads, getting hair out from there, around their bum and their other genital areas, it can be really good to keep that areas clean. But a 30 blade, like she was asking, it cuts hair. It has more teeth and more tines and less space in between the teeth. So it's going to cut to like 1/50th of an inch. So it's like really much shorter than a 10 blade. But when using under snap-on guard combs, you're going to get a much smoother finish. So like
okay.
a 10 blade under a guard comb, it can be a little choppy sometimes, especially from grooming from home. But a
Mhm.
30 finish blade, you're going to get a much smoother cut because there's more tines. But you should never use it alone. Like it should always be under
Under
a
something.
snap-on comb. Yep.
Okay.
And I
Awesome.
suggest if you're doing that to use metal snap-on
Metal
guards
snap-ons
rather
versus a
than,
plastic.
yeah, the plastic, they just move more. They're going to get less of a smooth cut.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. So I have someone ask about like they get groomed and now they stink like poo and he's inside all the time. Is there a reason why they would smell is that maybe like anal glands or something like that versus not being clean, especially after a groom?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say it comes down to a few things. Like one of the is anal glands. If your groomer is someone who expresses their anal glands on every visit, it can actually lead to more problems. So it's kind of a 50-50 in the groomer world. I feel like it was an older mentality to express the anal glands every time a dog came in. But I feel like with more research, we're moving away from that. In my business, I don't express anal glands.
Mm-hmm.
I leave it for the vet because your dog should be able to naturally express them. But if your
Okay.
dog's been seeing a groomer for a long time, or even came from a line of dogs that had their glands expressed for a long time and was bred from that, they can actually just be more prone to having like anal gland leakage, which can just cause a general smell like for their whole life. Like my parents have had a dog that had to have their anal glands removed just because it came from a bad line of breeding and just smelled all the time, just terrible, even after being freshly groomed. So that can definitely be something that people should talk to their vet about,
Mm-hmm.
and usually decide some smaller dogs, because their poops aren't hard enough to express their glands themselves. They do require every time, but most larger dogs, like a standard poodle, really shouldn't need um, anal gland expression unless done properly by a vet.
Okay.
Because there's like two different ways to do it. Most groomers will do an outside expression and it doesn't actually do a full inside of expression, whereas a
Mhm.
vet will do the inside. And that's more the proper way to do it, and will get rid of most of that buildup.
Okay.
Um, so, and another reason your dog could smell it, again, it depends on product. If your groomer is using lower quality product, it won't last as long, simply. So
Okay.
there's that.
Um,
And I think too, like just dogs in general, like wide range of like, just like people, some people have worse BO, some
mhm.
dogs sweat worse, and some dogs just have a general, like, that's just their smell sometimes.
Yeah.
So
Mhm. Yeah. I know.
unfortunately.
My Skippy, everyone's like, well, everyone in my family goes, oh, she just smells so bad. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Skippy.
It's like you can groom them every day, but they
Yep.
might just still smell. So
Yep. Hey, thank you for answering that. Okay. Oh, the Frito feet. I don't know. I just have always just thought that that's kind of what dogs' feet smell like. But is there a reason for that? And is there a way to kind of get rid of that smell? If it's, I mean, is it something bad, or I've kind of seen new things floating around. So can you kind of explain why they smell like Fritos?
yeah, just basically, I mean, it's a mix of bacteria in their feet, just like they're walking around in grass and dirt and snow, like it's just natural bacteria. So it's really not a bad thing that they smell. And dogs' anatomy, their sweat glands are like in their feet, like there's a huge collection of sweat glands in their feet.
Okay.
And so again, if your dog just is a sweater or it's natural body odor, it's going to smell. But I would say there are ways to like cut down on the smell if like it really grosses you out. You can let them soak in like a diluted little water bath of like water and white vinegar and some hydrogen peroxide.
Okay.
There's some good recipes online. Just you can let them soak. That can sometimes cut down on the smell. I would say though, in combination, if you see they're really smelly and your dog's licking their paws a lot, or there's redness in between the toe pads and maybe flaky skin, it could be a different thing, like an actual yeast infection, so unhealthy growth of bacteria, or it can mean like a food allergy as well. So that's something to be checked out by a vet. But normally, I mean, it's just kind of it's the smell of the sweat, it's the smell of normal healthy bacteria that's in there. So
Okay.
yeah.
So food wise, I don't know, like I usually direct people to the vet, but is there food that you guys feel helps coat and things like that? Or is it really you still direct them to the vet as well if they're having
Yeah.
issues with coat?
I would
Is it
say
just
definitely the vet, because every dog is different and every breed is different. And so your vet is going to have the best recommendation for their coat health. And just like people, some dogs just have skin issues. And so they're going to need different supplements like salmon oil or, things like that can definitely help. But it is per dog basis. So your vet will know best.
okay? Awesome. That's my thoughts. People ask me questions and I go, that is a vet question. I wish I knew, but I don't. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Not a one size fits all either.
yeah.
So
I think that was all the questions that I had from people in my group. I'm trying to think. I don't think I have any others. Is there anything that you would just really like people to know as far as grooming their own dogs, but also just in general as far as the health of the coat and why grooming is so important or anything like that?
I mean, I don't know. I think just understanding that you and your dog, like building a relationship with your groomer is really important. Just so that you can, like, there's things like I know I'm in a ton of groups and talk with my other groomer friends and stuff, and it is really common to have disgruntled customers because they didn't want their dog shaved, or they didn't want, they don't understand the pricing point, or different things like that. And so I'd just say, like, building a relationship with your groomer and understanding that more frequent visits will give you like better long-term results. Just like our own hair, if you want to maintain a color in your hair, you can't go once a year. You can't go twice a year. Like your hair is going to grow out, it's going to lose the color, and it's the same with dogs. Like if you want a certain length on your dog, or you want your dog not to be shaved, or you want your dog to be healthy and your coat to be healthy, taking them to the groomer on a regular schedule will definitely help them. So, and I'd say most groomers also prefer to have like a schedule recurring like every 6 weeks and just book it out for the year. You'll make sure that you have appointments throughout the year, and you won't ever be stuck with trying to find a groomer at the last minute, especially like around the holidays. It's like gets really difficult. People are like, well, we got pictures coming up and we want to make sure our dog looks good, but they've like haven't maintained their coat the whole year.
Mhm.
That can be really frustrating for groomers, and a lot of times even if they have a spot, they won't book you. And not that that's the best thing to do, but that's what, they don't
Mhm.
want a dog coming in who's not socialized to grooming and not used to the process, and their coat's in terrible condition, and then you have to shave it, and then you get a sad customer because
Mhm.
shaved dog for Christmas. Like
Mhm.
it's a whole thing. So the better you have a relationship with your groomer and keep it on a maintained schedule, the happier you will be, and the better their coat and maintenance will be. So
Okay. I guess sorry, I had one more question. Finding a groomer. What should you, I mean, should you be looking for someone that really specializes in your dog's coat, or is there, I mean, I know there's a lot of training that goes into becoming a groomer.
mhm.
There, what, I guess, what do you recommend when people start looking for a groomer? Are we like, I guess, what's best in that process, picking a groomer out?
I mean, it's difficult to say because I think it does depend on what you're wanting out of your grooming experience. So if you are interested in show and you're interested in a really specific hairstyle or cut or maintenance, you're
Mhm.
going to want to find somebody who has more qualifications, or like maybe not just like PetSmart or Petco. If you're
Mhm.
looking for an everyday pet groom, those are great places to start. And then there's a lot of different options of like I'm home based, and so I specialize in doodle, so I can be a little bit more picky with my client list. I won't take larger breed, like excessively large, like giant breeds,
Mhm.
because it's just myself, and so if you have dogs with special needs, um, I would just look for people who can handle that. So like because I'm home based, I groom one-on-one. I never have more than one dog in my salon. So it's a really great option for people's dogs who have like high anxiety or dog reactivity or anything like that. Like a normal, busy, loud salon might be too much for them. Um, but it just kind of depends on your dog. So if you just look at your individual dog's needs, if you're wanting a more specialized cut, you're going to want to find somebody who has certain certifications that will allow them to cut like show dogs or things
Okay.
like that. And then otherwise, everyday pet groomers like Petco, PetSmart is great as long as they offer the options that you're looking for. Yeah, I'd say that.
Well,
There's
thank
also
you. Oh,
um, vans, like people will come to you, so it just,
mhm.
which is like a great option for senior dogs, or yeah, there's a lot of options. So
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for your time. You've got so much knowledge, and um, I really appreciate you taking time
yeah,
to chat today. So,
for sure, I appreciate it.
all right.